I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And we're talking about a lot of light in the sky by this Friday, because we're having a total lunar eclipse at 24 degrees of Virgo on Friday, and that is a big reason why the title of tonight's show is Fizzling Out. And that is because something is fizzling out under this total lunar eclipse. And that is because there are 5 planets, half of all the planets, are in a harsh T-cross among the mutable signs. And Virgo is a mutable sign, just the way Sagittarius, Pisces, and Gemini are mutable signs. Well, there's 5 planets that aren't getting along, and it starts with that full moon in Virgo on Friday at 24 degrees of Virgo. Actually, there are a total of 3 planets at the 24th degree, but we know under a lunar eclipse it's a full moon. So the full moon is at 24 degrees of Virgo, and that means that the sun is also at 24 degrees, but it is in Pisces. And this little lone moon in Virgo is being somewhat under attack from all of the planets that are in Pisces, and also because Jupiter in Gemini is squaring the full moon. But the sun is, Saturn is at 21 degrees of Pisces today. It is conjuncting that sun, or not today, but by Friday. It is conjuncting that sun at 24 degrees in exact opposition to the full moon on Friday. And then the sun itself is conjuncting not only the north node, lucky north node of the moon, but Neptune, the ruler of the sign, is in Pisces. It's the strongest sign in the heavens because it's the only one up there that's at home in the sign it rules. And it's at the 29th degree of fate. So Saturn is conjuncting the sun is conjuncting Neptune, and they're ganging up on this little full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo at 24 degrees, and then Jupiter in Gemini is squaring that full moon as well. So that simply means that we have to look at the things that Virgo rules and we have to understand that some of them are sort of under attack right now or due to change. And so Virgo is a mutable earth sign, and it is ruled by the number 9, the highest of all the single digits. And so Virgo rules finishing. It rules analysis. Virgos are very good problem solvers. And so they like small details and facts that they tend to pursue. And sometimes a Virgo can, not see the forest for the trees because they're so busy concentrating on the details. Sometimes they miss the big picture. And that is why something could be fizzling out right now. Because Virgo is the traditional ruler of your 6th house of work and of health. It rules the whole healthcare industry, and it rules the banking industry. And remember, I said the title is Fizzling Out. So there would be changes in those areas because they're somewhat under attack, perhaps due to changing economic conditions or market conditions in the world. And so things may not, these are not the good old days is what I'm saying. And so we have to make adjustments now, because the fizzling out could have something to do with your job, since Virgo rules that 6th house of employment. And it rules the whole healthcare industry, so it rules your physical health, particularly the central nervous system. Virgos are great worriers. They worry about everything, and they get a little nervous when they're worried. But also, Virgo is a mental sign ruled by Mercury, the planet of the mind, and so it rules your mental health as well. And that is somewhat under siege right now, or under attack. And it's from planets in Pisces, and it means that there's so many planets in Pisces, and they're good planets, but it means that a lot of people could have been kidding themselves or deceiving themselves about a health condition, whether it's physical or mental, or about their job, or how they do their job, or why they're at their job. Because it's looking to me as if there is something now that can be job related, maybe not for everybody, but for a lot of people, that indicates that they've sort of missed the mark, or they're not actually performing at a level that is needed. Maybe they don't want to. Maybe they're getting close to retirement. They just want to retire. Who knows? Or else maybe they were hired because they were somebody's friend and they're not really qualified to do the job in the first place. So it fizzles out. There could be a lot of that going on right about now. And so that is something that you have to allow for. That there can be pressures behind the scenes, either self-induced, such as extra worries that you have, or something that you've been kidding yourself about. Remember, Neptune's the strongest planet in the heavens, and it's at the 29th degree of fate, which means something's on or over. And I think it's job or service related. Virgo rules occupations that are of service to others, so it rules teaching. So that's education. And it rules nursing, so that's medicine, and it rules social work and community volunteers and policemen and firemen and anybody that wants to be of assistance to others. Virgos like being of assistance to others. And because Virgo is ruled by the number 9, which is a finishing number, one of the very admirable traits of a Virgo is that whether they want to or not, they are generally a person who's going to stick around and finish something up. And it doesn't mean they don't want to move on to something else, but they will sort of finish something up. So even if they're involved in some sort of occupation or project or even a health condition that isn't responding or isn't improving in some way, because these planets are sort of attacking the sign of Virgo where the full moon lunar eclipse is, it simply means that there's got to be a change. And generally under a full moon lunar eclipse, since the moon rules women, we say one woman goes and another woman comes. And that could happen anytime in the next 6 months. But it might happen right now because something is fizzling out. And it could be that there is somebody in a position that got into that position one way or another, but isn't really qualified for it, and is underperforming, and really isn't up to the task. And so something is fizzling out. And if there isn't somebody like that in your life, you would know somebody else who's got a friend that's like that. This is prevalent throughout the world right now, that there are just some people that aren't measuring up. And they haven't been. Because if you're hired by one of your friends to do a job, they may not care whether you actually know how to do the job or not. But when push comes to shove, due to changing economic conditions and money has to be made, and there's nothing to show for your efforts, then something can fizzle out. And it might be that you would be happier moving on to something where you can see some really good concrete results, or when you can do something a little bit more your way instead of the boss's way. And so that is certainly possible. But remember, I mentioned that there are 3 planets at the 24th degree. There is the full moon on Friday, being sorely opposed by the sun in Pisces, and which is conjuncting Saturn on one side and Neptune on the other side. So that's a real well-fortified sun. And they're opposing this beleaguered moon in Virgo. But there's a 3rd planet in the 24th degree, and it's actually helping the full moon in Virgo. And that's the only help this full moon is getting. But that's because Uranus, a planet that's a malefic planet that can get you in plenty of trouble because it's volatile and rebellious, and it does what it wants, and it doesn't take orders from anybody, so you never know what's going to happen next with Uranus. That's why it's a malefic planet. But it's in Taurus, a fixed financial sign at 24 degrees on Friday, and it is exactly trining that full moon lunar eclipse. And so there is actually the possibility that there could be some other sort of small, steady way, remember Virgo rules facts and details, small, steady way that you may be able to make money. And that might be from not from actual money changing hands, but from credits that you get. Let me explain something that hasn't been explained to you yet, but I think it's coming up. So I'm just whispering in your ear right now about that because I think it's possible that since Virgo rules healthcare, if you could go to your next checkup with the doctor, okay, who's got your medical record in front of them, and you could say to them, "Oh, look what I'm doing for myself here. I got my blood pressure down." And the doctor is very pleased. They're smiling. That's good news. "Oh, and I got my weight down too." Okay, so the doctor's pretty happy with that. And you can say to that doctor, "I want you to put that in my medical record and give me credit for that." There can be things called health credits that are in people's medical records for improving their own health. I think that's entirely possible. And it hasn't been explained by the higher-ups yet, but it makes a lot of sense to me, because when you're able to improve your own health and you go and the doctor puts it down in your medical record that you're on the right road there, you can be getting medical credits for that in your health record. And what that means is that later on, should you need health care or should you have to be hospitalized, there are those credits that have a financial value to them, because wellness has a value to it. And those credits could be used to pay a future hospital or medical bill of yours, as long as the doctor writes it down that you're in charge of doing the improvements. Well, why not? It'd be a small, steady way of you defraying any future medical costs. On the other hand, this is helping the whole healthcare industry, because it's just gotten too expensive. It's so prohibitively expensive, there isn't enough money in the world to do all the medical research that we want to do or to try new things out, because there are so many medical bills. But you could do that. 24 is a number that reduces to 6. We reduce numbers by adding digits. 2 plus 4 is 6. 6 is the number of Venus. Venus is the planet that rules Libra. It also rules Taurus, but it rules Libra, and it rules compromise. It rules fairness and balance. It rules partnership. It rules the law and all legal agreements. So there can be a way to find a way to defray future healthcare costs if you get credit for all the good you're doing yourself. You know, instead of buying all those drugs that are supposed to do it for you, possibly you could save that cost and help yourself out. And, you know, just exercise more, eat better, change your lifestyle. And sooner or later, as long as you're making sure that doctor writes it down in your medical record that there's this steady record of improvement that you're responsible for, that money, when you need it, sometime later when you do need medical care, that can be a credit against your bill. Why not? It isn't costing them anything, it's not costing you anything either. Everybody's getting better from that. So we could think about that too, because 24 is a number that reduces to 6, the number of fairness and balance. And it's in Taurus, a fixed financial sign, and it is trining that beleaguered, fizzling out total lunar eclipse in Virgo on Friday. And that Uranus is about the only friend this full moon has got, because there's 5 planets squaring in opposing it. So something in your life that you know you weren't that crazy about anyway, but you might have been kidding yourself about it. Or you might have had stars in your eyes and thought, oh, this would be great if it ever happened, when actually your life would probably be better if it was just in your own hands, not somebody else's. And you lived your life, you know, the way you want to. Virgo rules moderation. And just moderating your diet or your behavior or your exercise program is going to make you a lot healthier and happier. So this beleaguered full moon total lunar eclipse, meaning one woman goes and another woman comes because something fizzled out that sort of didn't work anyway. It wasn't going to work. And so it's fizzling out now. And I would say that's irrefutable. It's already fizzled out. It can't be changed. And it's something that both sides who are involved know it's got to end, and it's a relief to both of them. Because, you know, you either fit pretty well in something, or no matter how much you gloss over something, the truth will come out sooner or later that it's not a good fit. And that way, as long as you face the truth, you can move on. And that would make you happier. All right, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries, for you. I think, Aries, that you are one sign that is, you know, sort of scratching your head and doing some rethinking right now. And that is because, Aries, there's only 2 retrograde planets. Guess where they are? They're both in your sign. And that is because Venus is in your sign. It's not happy in a sign ruled by Mars, but it's there, and it is retrograde. But Mercury has now come into your sign, Aries, and it's retrograde too. Okay, that's not too good, because there's a couple of other planets that are getting ready to change and come into your sign. And so you're going to have more and more on your plate as you go forward and head toward this solar eclipse that's occurring in your sign in a couple of weeks at the end of March, which is it simply means it's a real good jumping off spot for you, Aries. I mean, there's a really good chance for you to start something new. And it can be something that you tried last year, but maybe it didn't get off the ground the right way, but this year maybe you're just better prepared, and it could. But for right now, I think that you are having second thoughts about a lot of things. You could be having second thoughts about who you really do like, or else who's just convenient. You know, if somebody is a convenient friend, that means that, you know, they're fine. They go places, they do things. That's great. But maybe that's fizzling out if you have greater needs, or you have more deep-seated goals, and maybe whoever it is that's just palling around with you, maybe they don't have the ability to fulfill those goals that are so important to you. That could really be true, Aries, because you're getting ready to have a solar eclipse. You are getting ready to take off in a new direction, but possibly not with the same people that you've been with. And the reason why is these 2 planets are retrograde. Mercury retrograde means you're thinking things over, and it could be that you're adding things up, and maybe they don't add up right now. or maybe whatever the next step is, it's more to benefit somebody else than it is to benefit you. This is not the time for you to be thinking like that, okay? You don't need to be a doormat to somebody else, Aries. This is a time when you need to say, okay, this solar eclipse is in my sign. I want to go forward. And I don't want to take people that are just along for the ride. I want to, if I'm going to take anybody, it's somebody that's going to go the distance with me and do their share too. And so there's a lot of difference between sweet talk and you know, casual getting along and stuff like that, and actually being real dedicated to something that is extremely important to you, Aries. And so that's why I think you're having second thoughts right now. That's a real good idea. You should be having second thoughts right now. There's a ton of planets in Pisces right behind your sun sign, and they're very strong. And they are trining Mars in Cancer. And so it simply means that there can be a home or real estate issue that is pressing behind the scenes that needs to be solved. You might be involved with that or know somebody else that's involved with that. And I would say, Aries, if you keep your mind, if you're sort of like a racehorse right now and you've got blinders on and you're running in a race toward a new goal and a new life, you need to keep your eyes on that and forget everything else that you're distracted by. and just go for that. The solar eclipse is coming up in your sign in 2 weeks. And I don't think you're quite as ready as you should be. And boy, would that be a mistake to miss that. Because it's sort of your last chance. Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate, right behind your sun sign. If you had any idea of making a precious dream come true, this is the 11th hour, and possibly it won't. Maybe you might have waited too long. Who knows? You just have to clear your head of everything that is looking fine and casual and convenient, and instead concentrate on a real straightforward goal that can make something successful in your life and can make you happy at the same time. This is extremely important for your future, Aries. So I hope you think about it. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Well, Taurus, this savior planet that's in your sign, the only other planet that's at the 24th degree is Uranus, a malefic planet. You've had it in your sign for 6 years, Taurus, and it didn't really bother you until this last year. And the reason why is that Pluto was always in Capricorn for many, many years. 15 to 17, maybe even 20 years it was in Capricorn, continually trining your sun. So it was trining Uranus earlier, it was trining Uranus in your sun sign. Uranus stays in a sign for 7 years. Okay, so it's going to be in your sign. It's going to briefly go into Gemini and come back, and it'll still be in your sign for 1 more year, Taurus. But, you know, the good days are over, because now Pluto has moved out of Capricorn and into Aquarius, the sign of the future. It's a fixed sign. So is your sign, Taurus. And it is squaring that Uranus in your sign. And so your future plans, Taurus, are going to be challenged by that Pluto in Aquarius for years. It'll be 15 to 17 years that people in higher positions will continually challenge you. And yours is a fixed financial sign. And so they're going to want more and more and more out of you. Okay? Well, Uranus isn't going to stay in your sign that long, but Pluto is always going to be squaring your sun for years to come. And all the years that it was supporting your sign are gone. And so what I suggest you do, while Uranus is at the 24th degree on Friday, exactly trining the full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo, is try to decide to make a change, Taurus. And settle for something that is a modest success. That's what Virgo rules. And it could be in your health, because Virgo rules the healthcare industry, or it could be in any job where you're of service to others. Try to go for a modest success, a part-time effort, something that's a lot easier on your health, not so much pressure on you. Because for years you were able to excel because Pluto was fortifying your sun sign and the sign of Virgo and Capricorn. I mean, wasn't that great? Big business got bigger, so did big government. That's all over now. Very hard for successful people to understand that that's over, but it is. It doesn't mean that there aren't brilliant futures for some people, but not by doing it the same old way. And that's why, if I were you, Taurus, you have this planet Uranus, which is a malefic planet, and it's being squared by Pluto in Aquarius, but it's trining that full moon total lunar eclipse. And you might ask yourself, whatever you're doing right now, Taurus, is there something about it that is fizzling out, or doesn't fit, or isn't quite right, or isn't making you happy? Or can you see yourself doing that for the next 20 years? Just sort of at a little, like a mid-level or something. You know, Taurus likes its creature comforts. And Taurus is a good hard worker, but Taurus likes to enjoy the benefit of their hard work. They don't like to work all the time. And so I suggest that you decide to moderate your daily habits and your activities so that you can scale back and live a longer life in the end with less pressure on it. and a little bit more your way. I suggest that you try that, because Pluto in Aquarius is really going to be squaring your sun, challenging you for all the years that it's there, because it's in the sign of the future. And at some point, a Taurus doesn't want to go into the future. They want to enjoy what they've been working for. And so there may be a change in your life right now as something fizzles out, Taurus. But if you looked back, you know, in the years to come, you could say, that was a blessing in disguise. I'm glad that happened. Because it lets you quiet down a little bit, which would be good for you. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, remember I said that there are 5 planets in the mutable signs all squaring each other under this fizzling out total lunar eclipse in Virgo, and one of them is in your sign, a Gemini. It's Jupiter. And Jupiter is direct in your sign. And it's being trine by Pluto in Aquarius. That's great. You've got somebody who's pretty powerful in your life that's definitely in your corner, Gemini. They like you. They not only like you, they'd like to see you be involved in their future plans. You sort of have the vote of approval of somebody that's pretty high up. And it's going to stay that way for years. That's nice, Gemini. But Jupiter is actually squaring the full moon lunar eclipse on Friday in Virgo, and it is being squared by Saturn, the Sun, the North Node of the Moon, and Neptune in Pisces. So in a way, that Jupiter is sort of having these planets in Pisces sort of gang up on it a little bit. And so I would say that if you've been sort of coasting along with Jupiter in your sign in the last year, because it's been there since last summer, and it's going to stay until this summer, until June 10th. If you've been sort of riding the wave and having a good time, Gemini, that's great. But it's nearing the end of it. And Jupiter is actually in the middle of Gemini right now, because it had retrograded for a while. But still, it's going to be headed out by June 10th. And so I hope that you have done something that would improve your lifestyle, or get you going in a new direction, or help rejuvenate you. Your sign rules youth. You could be involved with other people, and they could be just friends and neighbors, because your sign rules neighborhoods. And you could just have sort of a jolly time with people. So you probably have made new friends this year, Gemini. And you probably can continue that. And I would if I were you. Because there's changes coming up. Your sign rules change. There's changes coming up for you. And you need to understand that this planet of tremendous support, Pluto, is in Aquarius, continually trining your sun. And so my advice is whatever change, whatever's fizzling out in your life right now, because Neptune is at the 29th degree of fate, and it's squaring your sign along with all the other planets in Pisces, and the full moon in Virgo is doing that. Something's fizzling out in your life, Gemini. And whatever is going was meant to be. It was meant to go. And the reason why it was meant to go is because it never really fully came. You know, it was like something that was just passing by and maybe looking you over and representing hope for the future. But it was like a little bee buzzing around you, and it never landed. And it never landed on a flower. It never showed up. And so you need to move on, Gemini. And you're going to get the chance to do it. Because there's so many planets, 5 of them in the mutable signs. All the ones in Pisces are squaring your sun. The full moon on Friday in the total lunar eclipse is also squaring your sun. Somewhere in your life, Gemini, one woman is going and another woman is coming. You might be one of them, or else you know some people that one's going and another one's coming. Not exactly at the same time, but sometime in the next 6 months. And you are due for change. And I think you're happily looking forward to it. And it's going to benefit you. It will be a change that will sort of put you in a It will put you in the company of people who really have their minds on the future and want you to go with them. And you should do it. It would be the ride of a lifetime. So go for it. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer. Cancer, Mars is in your sign right now, and it is trining beautifully all those planets in Pisces. The full moon on Friday in Virgo is right ahead of your, well, it's sextiling your sun. Cancer always sextiles Virgo. So the full moon isn't hurting you, Cancer, but that's the least of your worries. It is getting hurt. That full moon is under attack, okay? So if you were trying to sort of take your good health for granted, I wouldn't do that, Cancer. You need to be a little bit more careful about your health habits and, work on them yourself. Improve things yourself. It's up to you. Even though a doctor can prescribe a pill for you, that's not going to be as effective as you sitting down and saying, okay, I've got a problem, I need to fix it. Your life's in your own hands. It's not in the pharmacist's hands, it's in your hands. And so you need to concentrate a little bit more on your own health right now. That's going to do you a lot of good because Virgo sextiles your sun. Excuse me, I still have that little cold. But Mars is in your sun sign, Cancer, and it is being trined beautifully by Saturn, which is being conjuncted by the Sun, and the Sun, which is conjuncting Neptune, and the north node of the Moon are there. They're all in Pisces. This is a time when you got to get to work, Cancer, not just on improving your own health. That's just a real good idea that you should do right now. And why is that? Why is it so important that you improve your health now? Well, Cancer, it is because, one, you've got the energy to do it. Mars is an energy planet. You can do it. It's not going to wear you out to get a little more physically fit or to eat better or something like that. It's going to be fine for you, Cancer. But on the other hand, this is a time when you can make, in fact, it's the last moment that you could make a long-held favorite dream of yours come true. And the reason why is because there's an element of justice in it, like it's the right thing to do. And the reason why there's an element of justice in it is because all of the planets in the water signs are all subruled by the same planets. Mars in your sign is in the middle decan of Cancer. It is subruled by Mars and Pluto that rule Scorpio. Well, Saturn, the Sun, Neptune, and the north node of the Moon in Pisces are all on the last decan of Pisces, which is subruled by the Mars and Pluto that rule Scorpio. All these planets are trining the sign of Scorpio. There's nothing in Scorpio, and it's very powerful right now because all the planets in the water signs are subruled by Scorpio's rulers. And that is an indication that there's more money down the road. It's just you really got to make sure you're getting your act together now, Cancer. Don't wait. There's no reason to wait. And in fact, if you do, some of this help that you've got could move on. Neptune's getting ready to leave. Actually, it is leaving. Neptune's going to be in Aries when the Aries eclipse hits at the end of the month. It won't be in Pisces anymore. And so you really need to sort of get your act together, decide you're in control of what you want to do, and do it. But it has something to do with a long-held dream or goal of yours that you probably were very quiet about because there were innumerable delays, particularly in the last couple of years. But that won't stay that way. You're going to be able to move forward, Cancer. It's just, you just can't lay back and eat bonbons and let life pass you by. That's your sign rules endings. Okay, you're stronger at the end than you were at the beginning, or at least that's what you're supposed to be in your life. For the first half of a Cancer's life, things are not too happy. The last half of the life, as you head toward the ending, is great. You get everything you want. Well, now's the time to do it, Cancer, so good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, this is a time, Leo, with that full moon lunar eclipse on Friday in Virgo, right ahead of your sun sign, you're going to be able to see something that has fizzled out. Okay, every single one of us, somewhere in our lives, it won't be the same thing for all of us, but still, all of us are going to see something that has fizzled out because it wasn't good enough to last. It wasn't good enough to withstand the winds of change. Or if it was a job or a task or something, whoever was doing it, they didn't really have the skills to completely succeed in it or to show positive results for their efforts. They might have made the effort, it just didn't result in a positive result. And that's going to happen to all of us in one way or another in our lives. Just take a look for it, it'll be there. And it'll be there fairly soon. This is the month of 2 eclipses, not just one. But this total lunar eclipse, 6 months from now, we're having another one, and it's going to be in Pisces. You know, the sign where all these planets are today attacking this poor little full moon in Virgo. It'll be the other way around by then. That full moon will be in Pisces in September as a total lunar eclipse. This is a year of false starts, and people have to realize, okay, something's fizzling out. That means it was a false start. You know that isn't such a bad thing, because when you make a false start, one, okay, it becomes glaringly apparent that it's a false start, that it didn't work, it didn't come out the way you thought it would. Fine. It puts you on a higher plane. It gets you going in a better direction. You know, it doesn't sink you. It challenges you to rise higher. So there's nothing wrong with these false starts, which actually will be happening under something that's fizzling out right now. It was meant to look good. It just didn't produce anything except the looks of something, but not any real accomplishment. And remember, Virgo rules work, employment. So there are some people that are out of jobs or will soon be, but maybe they're just going to do a whole lot better in some other job. Maybe they're going to go back to school, and maybe they'll get some retraining credits and able to learn a new job that they would like better. And when Jupiter goes into Cancer on June 10th, and then to really solidify it, when Uranus goes into Gemini on July 7th, okay? Jupiter will be in Cancer, America's sun sign. Uranus will be in Gemini, America's rising sign. Pluto is already in Aquarius, America's moon sign, and America's just going to take off. It's like, whew, you know, it's just going to boom. And so if there's a false start or something fizzles out now, you will be thanking your lucky stars to find that out now. Because that just means you can go in a better direction. That's true for all of us. And so we have a lot to look forward to. You know, when something fizzles out, it's usually because it wasn't right for you anyway. You know, it didn't fulfill you. It was okay at one level and nothing beyond that. And so nothing wrong with something fizzling out right now. Because you might have been kidding yourself about it, or there is a possibility you might have been settling for less. And the truth is, under this full moon, that you know it now. And that isn't good enough. Not for your happiness. And so you're just going to have to let something fizzle out and look for something better. It'll be there. Something better will be there. 2 weeks from now, there's going to be a solar eclipse in Aries. A lot of people are going to be making new starts, and they'll love it. Okay, what does it mean? I think that I am on Leo. Cancer, Leo. Well, Leo, all that pertains to you. I'm sorry, I get a little wound up in my script sometime. So I think that what I just said particularly pertains to Leo, especially since Pluto in Aquarius is opposing your sun sign, Leo. Excuse me. It means people in high places that have their eyes on the future are not looking at you. Excuse me. But they are looking at the future. And that Jupiter in Gemini sextiles your sun, and the full moon lunar eclipse is right ahead of your sun sign. Leo, you're in the lucky position of being able to see where something is fizzling out, and you're going to sort of be able to cover your bases. You'll be able to go ahead and say, well, okay, that fizzled out, but I'm on to this. And in 2 weeks, when that solar eclipse in Aries hits and gives you a chance at a new beginning, you'll be off and running. And so that'll be great. I'm sorry I didn't say what does it mean to Leo, but I hope you're looking forward to something as the result of the fact that something that is pretty close to you, that you can see sort of right in front of you, is fizzling out. It's not going to make it. Either you're kidding yourself about it or somebody else was kidding themselves about it, and that's okay. Because if it's a false start, better to find it out now, before the solar eclipse. Because the solar eclipse trines your sun. That's going to be good for you. Good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, the full moon total lunar eclipse on Friday at 24 degrees is in your sun sign. It's getting hammered though, Virgo. And yet, there is a silver lining. There is one planet at the 24th degree in an earth sign. Only one. And that is Uranus in Taurus, which is exactly trining the full moon in your sign on Friday, Virgo. And that means that there's going to be some way for you to take charge of something that's fizzling out in your life. You know, it could be a health condition that you've always tolerated, and toleration doesn't work too well as you get older, because your body gets weaker and weaker and weaker if you don't solve the problem. Not tolerate it, but solve it. And so, Virgo, since your sign rules health, now is perhaps an optimum time for you to not kid yourself about something with all the planets in Pisces that are opposing your sun sign. Saturn is conjuncting the sun is conjuncting Neptune and the north node of the moon, and they're all opposing your sun, and Jupiter in Gemini is squaring your sun. So something that you thought was going to be pretty easy to do is not going to work. And that, I think, is going to be okay with you, Virgo, because much better to realize that something's fizzling out now, because it might have been either a false start or something that you'd been kidding yourself about. Maybe it's a health habit, since your sign rules physical and mental health. And maybe a physical health habit has gotten a little out of control, and it's fizzling out, in a way that is not good for you. In other words, being under control would work, but getting out of control would be too overwhelming. And so there's a possibility that you need to change your health habits, Virgo, and pay attention to the good ones a lot more right now. And also there's a possibility that you've been kidding yourself about some dream or goal that you've had behind the scenes that's had plenty of time to come true. Neptune has been opposing your sun sign. It's been in Pisces for a little over 12 years now, and it's leaving. And when it leaves, it'll have the effect of you waking up one morning and realizing that morning is going to be different than whatever had been happening in your mind for the last 10 or 12 years that you were kidding yourself about, because that's gone. The illusion or the omission or the delusion, whatever you were kidding yourself about, will go. It's already fizzled out. The important thing is that you'll be able to admit it. And that's good, because it'll give you breathing room. It'll give you a chance to expand in other ways. And the benefit of that, Virgo, is that you can do it all for yourself. You won't have anybody else you have to worry about. You will be able to concentrate just on something that is really good for you. And maybe it is the improvement of a health habit. Maybe you're going to get over some health habit that's been harmful to you. But also it can be that you are thinking differently about how, remember that Uranus is trining your sun. You could be thinking differently about your investments, wanting to handle things in a simpler way. That'll work too. So you can gain small, steady rewards in one way or another by taking greater charge of your own life and not kidding yourself or not deluding yourself about something that you wished for that never came true because it never showed up. It was never really there. You know, even when you thought it was there, was that your imagination? Because do you really have proof that a dream or a goal of yours actually made it? It would have been a secret one you wouldn't have told anybody about. But when you wake up and when you realize, okay, that's gone, as Neptune moves out of Pisces, you won't be kidding yourself anymore. But on the other hand, you're going to be 100% in charge of your own happiness. And you're going to be free of being manipulated by a dream that never came true. You know, you don't have to worry about that anymore. It never came true? Fine. You're free. You can do what you want. And you're relieved by things that you don't have to worry about anymore. Because they're not there. See, some of this fizzling out thing can be pretty good for us. If things that are fizzling out, maybe they weren't that great, or they weren't good enough. That's why they fizzled out. Well, we ought to be happy about that, because better things await us, particularly for you, Virgo. So good luck. There's a new moon in your sign coming up in August, and then the big one, Virgo. There is a solar eclipse in your sign at the 29th degree of fate in your sign in the fall. And that's the big one. That's the one you need to be ready for, Virgo, because that's going to be 100% in your hands. And I think you're going to be successful. But it comes from lightening the load right now, not pretending or wishing or hoping, just being relieved that even if something fizzled out and it didn't work, you're left with your own life, and you're in complete control of it. And that's a good place to be. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, remember I said that 24 is a number that reduces to 6 because we reduce numbers by adding digits. 2 plus 4 equals 6. 6 is the number of Venus, which is your ruler, Libra. And your sign doesn't have a planet in it, but it's being well fortified. And that is because Pluto is in Aquarius, trining your sun for many, many years to come. And that means people in high places are attracted to you, and they will continue to be. And it simply means you could meet them very suddenly in different ways, but in sort of easy, common, everyday ways. You know, you could be sitting next to somebody pretty famous, and you could just say, oh, hi. And they say, hi, how are you? That's it. That would work. But also Jupiter in Gemini is trining your sun. It will only be doing that until June 10th. So I urge you, Libra, to take advantage of some sort of change that would be an easy transitional change that you could make in your life. And it could be in your own neighborhood. Anything that Gemini rules. With Jupiter there trining your sun, and Jupiter's direct. It used to be retrograde, but it's direct now. Maybe with help from somebody who is pretty important, they could offer you some part-time job, and that might necessitate you moving to a different neighborhood, and it would all work out perfectly, which is good. Because there are other things you have to worry about. Everybody's going to go through something that's fizzling out right now. And one of the things that could be fizzling out in your life, Libra, is sort of something to do with your love life. And it could have something to do with your love life and the idea of starting something new. because Venus is your ruler, and Venus is in Aries retrograde along with Mercury, which is retrograde, and they are opposing your sun sign. And Mars in Cancer is squaring your sun sign. Okay, so Venus isn't doing you any good because it's opposing your sun sign and it's retrograde. That means that there's some new opportunity that might be passing you by right now, or you maybe have changed your mind about it. That could be true. You could change your mind about something that you thought was such a great deal that you were going to stick with it because it was new and exciting, and maybe you're going to change your mind about that now for one reason or another. Maybe the terms aren't right, or the money's not right, or it would create too much change in your life. I don't know. So you could be having second thoughts about that. But actually you're under very good aspects right now, and you will continue to be, excuse me, I'm sorry. You will continue to be the whole time that Pluto is in Aquarius. Jupiter's going to leave Gemini. So this is a very good time for you to get out and about, Libra. Maybe in a new neighborhood, or making new friends, or taking on a part-time job. Doesn't have to last forever. It could just be fun. And you would get a lot out of it. But at the same time, you might be changing your mind about some new start that you had been sort of thinking about. And I would reconsider that if I were you. The solar eclipse in 2 weeks in Aries will oppose your sun. Somebody else you know is going to take off and go in a new direction. I'm not so sure you're going with them though, Libra. You're going to have to sort of wait and see. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time, Scorpio, when your sign is so strong, it's almost like you can do no wrong. So don't do anything wrong right now, Scorpio, because you don't need to. Something is fizzling out. That Virgo total lunar eclipse sextiles your sun, and that full moon in Virgo's getting hammered by all the planets in Pisces, but all the planets in Pisces are trining your sun. Mars in Cancer is also trining your sun. All those planets, are only sub-ruled by your own rulers, Mars and Pluto in Scorpio. Wow. If anything, Scorpio, this is a time that something should fizzle out, or if it hasn't fizzled out, it's a little overdue, and it still should do it, because you're in a position to go straight forward with whatever you've got your mind on, or your even a very quiet goal of yours. There's absolutely nothing stopping you. Uranus in Taurus is opposing your sun sign. So you have to be a little bit careful about the value of your investments. I wouldn't take a lot of gambles right now. Just be careful what you're doing. And no matter what you want to do with money, you don't need to do it all right now. You could spread it out over time if you wanted to, Scorpio. And the other thing is Pluto is in Aquarius, and it's squaring your sun, which means that other people have ideas about their future plans, and they are not going to include you in all of those. But what do you care, Scorpio? You can't be in everybody else's plans anyway. Besides, why would you do that now, when your sign is so beautifully supported by all the other planets in the water signs, and the full moon lunar eclipse isn't hurting you? Something's fizzling out, but it's time for it to do that. In fact, it's overdue. It should have fizzled out before. And so that's no problem. In fact, that'll be less of a worry for you. And so this is a time when you need to hone in on some long-held plan or goal or dream of yours, and understand that you'll have the money and you'll have the help to make it all happen. So you could move. And it would be what you might call a heavy-duty move. It would be, if you're thinking of moving and you're looking at something and you're saying, "Oh, should I take that or not?" Take it, Scorpio. You don't know how much you're going to need somewhere else until you get there. But you would need it probably. And you can give it away when you get there. But I think that you're going to be moving, It may not be at this very moment, but this is an actually excellent time to do it. And the thing of it is that moves are not fun. And so, okay, that's a heavy-duty job. Nobody likes it, but you got to do it. That's all you have to do. You don't have to set the world on fire or anything, Scorpio. You just have to get to where you belong. And you haven't been there in a long time. And you know what you're missing. It's sort of like home ground. And you haven't been there in a long time. Visiting, maybe, that isn't good enough. You got to be where you yourself are at peace and comfortable and safe. And safe. It's a tricky world. And so the move is what you got to do, Scorpio. And then everything else can come later. I mean, you can work on everything else as time goes on. Just realize that the fizzling out is sort of a godsend. It should have happened long ago. It should have happened before. And you know, one woman goes and another woman comes. That's not instantaneous. It could happen any time in the next 6 months. And there's another solar eclipse, I mean lunar eclipse coming up in September. This could happen twice to everybody. But all you need to do is you need to do the heavy lifting right now while you can get a lot of help with that, because that help is not going to stay in place. And neither is the dream. Neither is, you know, it's all, Scorpio, your sign rules war. You want to win a war, you better watch the timing of anything. And if you don't watch the timing and realize now is the time to make your move, or to get headed in the right direction, it's to save your own life. It's to preserve the quality of your own life. Oh, that's called survival? Does that sound familiar, Scorpio? That's what your sign rules. And you have to lead by doing. So you're the one that needs to survive now, and you don't need the fizzle out people. They have fizzled. That's okay. They'll go on their way. But you need to do what's right for you. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio. I mean, not Scorpio, I'm sorry, Sagittarius. I'm sorry about that. Sagittarius, this is a time with Venus and Mercury in Aries retrograde, but trining your sun, when you can be having second thoughts about some new beginning that you may have initiated last spring when there was a solar eclipse in Aries that trined your sun as well. And now you may be thinking something over about that and deciding, okay, well now I want to do something a little bit differently, or I want to expand on what I did last year, or I want to move in a little bit different direction. And this is a very good planning time for you to do that. But I do think that you're modifying your plans or you're changing your mind about something, since both planets in Aries are retrograde right now. And there's only 2 planets in Aries now that are trining your sun. Well, that's good. I think this is a good time for you to sort of think things over and see if it isn't okay for you to change your mind. It probably is okay. In fact, there could have been something else that has fizzled out, and maybe it's okay that it fizzled out too. You know, the false starts this year are only going to lead us on to something better. But sometimes people get so directed by or focused on what they want that it takes a false start for them to wake up and realize, okay, there's more than one choice here, and you can make a new choice. And that's what you can do, Sagittarius, because by the time we have the solar eclipse in Aries in 2 weeks, which will also trine your sun, there will be 4 planets in Aries, not just the 2 that are there now. And they'll all be trining your sun. And so this is a time when it's okay for you to understand that, you know, if something's fizzling out, oh, let it go. You can maybe pick it up later, but, you know, put that one on the shelf and just think of something new that you want to do. Now, you're allowed to change your mind. And I think that this can be a time of travel, and by the end of the month. Travel and experimentation and trying new things. But I would say that if something has fizzled out in your life, I don't think you're going to stick with it. And that'll leave you room to try something new. Nothing wrong with the fizzling out stuff. It's going to leave all of us room to try something new. And you're going to get a wonderful chance to do that in about 2 weeks. So I hope you're getting ready. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when you can be blessed by the fact that the total lunar eclipse in Virgo at 24 degrees of Virgo is trining your sun on Friday. That's only day after tomorrow. And so that's going to be trining your sun. And another planet also at the 24th degree, Uranus in Taurus, is going to be trining your sun. Okay, so you have a little bit more financial protection, or you have what I would call more of a financial cushion around you, Capricorn, than people realize. And I wouldn't tell anybody if I were you. Just, you know, that's your business, not theirs. And this may be a time when you're actually thinking of how to be much more careful with your own health and keeping yourself healthy. Remember that idea of going to the doctor and saying, put this in my medical record. I took down my blood pressure, or I have lost some weight here. I want that in my medical record in case we are allowed to get health credits for future hospital bills or future doctor bills. I want to pile up health credits that will benefit me in the future. That's actually money in the bank. It's just on your medical record instead. People treat their medical records very, very tenderly. I mean, they pay attention to those. A lot of people do. The insurers pay attention to that. The doctors pay attention to that. The patients pay attention to that. Family members pay attention to that. So just make sure that they write down if you're being a good patient, or your comments about something. You know, take an active role in making yourself healthier. Capricorn, you have two very good planets, the full moon in Virgo and Uranus in Taurus, both trining your sun. You could do it, and somehow it would result in more money. Here's another way it could result. If you're sort of doing these things that are, they're making the doctor's job a lot easier because you're lowering your weight, or you're lowering your blood pressure yourself, or you're exercising more, you're getting healthier. The doctor doesn't have to do anything, but it's important they note that you did it. And that is because, as time goes on, and you are showing that you are responsible for your own health, I wouldn't be surprised if they lowered the costs, some costs that you have to endure. Or the insurance, wherever you get your medical insurance, they lower your insurance premiums. Why not? You've proved that you're worth it. Do you know what I mean? You can improve yourself financially by improving your own health now. And that is your mental attitude as well as your physical health. And Capricorns like to just take one step at a time and steadily pursue a goal. And that goal should be a little bit more on your own nose right now, Capricorn, and nobody else's. You don't even have to think about your career as much. You really need to think about your health. The lunar eclipse is in Virgo, the sign of health. Virgo has a lot to do with jobs. There could be a job that's fizzling out for you. Well, you can get another job if you want. But right now, you can do yourself some good at a little bit higher level. You could even retire and maybe renegotiate your insurance rates based on the fact that you're more in charge of your own health now and you're doing better. Medicine is a business. And we all think that nursing and surgeons and therapists are all just wonderful people because they want to heal us. Well, they eat too. Medicine is a business. And so you have to be actively involved in your own well-being. It is to your benefit, to your business benefit to do that. And that's for everybody. So anyway, just think about it. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when you might feel as if, there are things going on around you, but it may not be going, might not involve you directly. For one thing, yours is a fixed sign, and something's fizzling out. And I think that whatever is fizzling out, it is doing it at a level that involves people who were not really very well suited for the jobs they had anyway. So a job could be fizzling out. But Aquarians aren't like that. Aquarians are forward thinkers. They're usually not only good at what they do, they're already thinking 10 steps ahead of their boss. And they just like that. Aquarians are just so creative. And Pluto is in your sign now. It's being trined by Jupiter in Gemini. That's fantastic. Uranus is going to come into Gemini on July 7th. You're going to have one of the best summers of your whole life, which will be very surprising for you. There is an unexpected surprise headed your way this summer, Aquarius. I can feel it already. It's going to be there. And I don't know if you're going to be exactly shocked, but you will be surprised for sure. It'll be just fine. But anyway, so I'm not so sure that you're fizzling out in any way, Aquarius, but something around you is. It could be in your neighborhood. It could be in the way that you do business with certain people. Remember, Virgo not only rules the healthcare field, it rules banking. And so those are two fields that there are things that are fizzling out in those fields, maybe because they have to improve instead. Or maybe because costs are getting so high, they've got to find a way to pare those down a little bit. I don't know. I would say with Pluto in your sign, you're a little bit protected. A little bit more than a lot of other people and then you've got Jupiter trining your sun and Pluto in it. And so you may be able to sort of circumvent the effect that something is going to fizzle out in your life and everybody's life, but you may be able to sort of circumvent it or go around it and still just keep going on your way, Aquarius. That might be all right. And so Aquarius rules flight. It rules space. And so, you could think of yourself as, sort of flying high into the future. And so if something fizzles out, I don't think that it's going to bother you too much. In fact, it would be sort of fine. Maybe you could fly a little better if it did fizzle out, because you'd be able to reach higher and higher goals without something that had been fizzling out anyway. See, these false starts are going to do people some good. And so I'm just saying that this full moon in Total Lunar Eclipse in Virgo is under such attack from the planets in Pisces and this square from Jupiter in Gemini that most people are just going to have to understand, okay, the jig is up, something fizzled out, and it's a false start, we've all got to move on. And so you do too, Aquarius. But Aquarians generally are a little ahead of the pack. At least mentally, they're out there already. So I think you're going to do just fine. I would say if you are contemplating doing something, I would take between now and before June 10th to go ahead and plan for it and do it. You might want to wait till the summer to do it, but spend all this time up till June 10th while Jupiter is still in Gemini, trining your sun, getting ready. That would be it would make it easier for you. Just getting ready would be fine. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces. This is a time, Pisces, when actually the planets are a lot more in your favor than they are for Virgo. Because it's all these really good planets in your sign, Pisces, which are backed up by a trine from Mars in Cancer, which are Saturn at 21 degrees, conjuncted by the Sun at 24 degrees, which is conjuncting Neptune at 29 degrees, and the north node of the moon is there as well. All of those are going on in your sun sign, backed up by Mars, another malefic planet, meaning you've got a lot of muscle of your own, Pisces. Nobody would ever call a Pisces a heavy hitter. I mean, Pisces don't even like that. They don't go around trying to make fights and bully people, and, you know, that's not a Pisces nature. It's a mutable, double-bodied water sign. It's a little hard to pigeonhole a Pisces sometimes. They're sort of moving in and out of things all the time. Well, Pisces, you're in the driver's seat right now, because these planets in your sign, which are so well backed up by Mars and Cancer, all of which are sub-ruled by the Mars and Pluto in Scorpio that rule Scorpio, and they're all trining Scorpio. That means, Pisces, that if you were looking for more money, it's looking for you too. Just keep looking, you'll get it. It's somewhere. And also, Scorpio rules justice. And so there is the possibility, Pisces, that there's some justice coming. And it isn't as if you've done something wrong and you need to be punished. It's not that kind of justice. It's the kind of justice that means that if you have had to endure something that has just been fizzling out for a long time, and you've been just going through the motions. Lots of people just go through the motions to get a paycheck. They don't even care about their job anymore because their boss doesn't care about it either. And you know, it's just you put one foot in front of the other, pick up the paycheck and go on with your life, and there's nothing there. And so those kind of jobs are fizzling out, and so are the people that do them. And so this is an opportunity for you, since this is a total lunar eclipse in Virgo, to really think of what your most precious dream is, or your highest goal, or the thing that you think, it might be something that you're not directly involved with, but it's a problem in the world, and you think, I want to solve that problem, or I want to help solve that problem, and I feel like jumping into that. Well, go right ahead, Pisces. You got a lot of help behind you. And also, it could improve your mental outlook. You know, this full moon total lunar eclipse means one woman goes and another woman comes. And something is fizzling out because that full moon is under such heavy attack. And the attack is coming from the way that we kid ourselves about things. You know, Neptune's been in your sign for over 12 years. And Neptune is a planet of extreme creativity and dreams and hopes and wishes, but also of omissions and deceptions and kidding yourself. And you're sure not going to be able to do that anymore, Pisces, because Neptune, your own ruler, is at the 29th degree of fate. Something in your life is on or over. It doesn't need to be that drastic. Let's just say that there's something that is probably on the job, because Virgo rules jobs, a person or a position or something like that has fizzled out because it never lived up to its true potential, or whoever was doing it didn't really know how to get really good results. They may have put on a good show, but it didn't factor into better results. And so they weren't the right person for the job. And that's fizzling out. It might have been a lot of fun for you and them, but that's fizzling out. And instead, you could be getting an awful lot more serious about what you feel is, well, it's like life-preserving. It can be that you want to preserve something good in this world, or work on it, or help others that are trying to do something good in this world. Or you could see a problem somewhere and say, you know, I'm only one person, but I'd sure like to help out with that. Well, that's the way a Pisces thinks. And you could do it. You not only could do it, you have some muscle behind you. You have some other people that are thinking, hey, yeah, let's do it. So you're in this enviable position as long as you stop kidding yourself about something, and as long as you realize something has fizzled out. The thrill is gone. Let me put it that way. And I don't know if it's a job. I don't know. I don't think it's a goal exactly. I think it is somebody who is connected to a job who couldn't really do the job very well, or they couldn't meet the goals of the organization. Let me put it that way. Might have had a lot of fun, but they couldn't meet the goals of the organization. And you have an enormous amount of talent, but I think, I'm not a Pisces, but I think I've known many nice Pisces in my life. And one thing that a Pisces has is compassion. And the funny thing about a Pisces, they feel it, and they know they've got it, and it's inside of them. And the deeper their compassion, the greater their caring, the quieter they get, because it's so real. It really means something to them. And if you're the kind of Pisces that is deciding sort of quietly to make a dream come true, or to set out to make it a better world, you may not be saying too much. You might just be going ahead and doing it. It doesn't even matter whether you do it fast or slow. It could mean a lot to you. And it's nobody's business but yours. But it's something that would increase the quality of your life and may expand your lifespan. Because when we actually stop dreaming and make that dream come true, or try to do it and get working on it, our life extends. It extends as far as the dream goes, and it keeps going. It's a Pisces that would know love never dies. So whatever you really have buried deep in your heart, Pisces, more power to you. You might have spent the last 12 years thinking about something. Believe me, you need to do something about it right now. It's important for you. I don't think that people live for themselves alone. They live for their dreams. They live for a better world. They live with hope in their heart, not greed. And you're going to be fine, Pisces. But you got to get on it now. It's time. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. I'm sorry this took a little long, and I'm sorry I still got this little cold. But I hope that we're all just going to live through this total lunar eclipse, which means something is definitely fizzling out, but it's time to go. It's like it was a false start. That's okay. It'll lead us to something better. And in that vein, I want to thank all my new subscribers, and I hope you tell your friends about the show as well. And I'll see you right back here next week for STARBORN. Bye.